paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe, and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, yeah, it's downright refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And yes,
I don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
Well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom walkthrough brought to you by your favorite hosts, Douglas DJ Johnson, who notably, narratively, whatever that word was, I was trying to say, like...
With notoriety?
With notoriety, thank you. And that is Cass, my spell checker and Zelda expert extraordinaire. We are here to give you all of the exclusive content related to Nintendo's new game, Breath of the Wild 2 Electric Boogaloo. This is a sponsored podcast brought to you by Nintendo themselves. We're pulling a hard right. We are getting out of Magic. We are just entirely a Zelda-focused podcast now. And collectively, we have put in 30 hours to this game in order to bring it to you.
On average.
Exactly. On average, we have played 30 hours of this game in the past 4 days to bring this podcast to you. Cass, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm 60 hours into Tears of the Kingdom, so you're bringing the average way down.
Yeah, I'm 0. I have not played the game yet, but I will eventually.
It's very good. I mean, like, I have an affliction where I put, like, this many hours into Breath of the Wild in week 1, so I'm here for it.
Everybody has that game. Everybody has the game they can take off work for, I think. And that's fine. That's okay.
Yeah.
I do it with RuneScape once every 2 years. There's a league that runs, and I'm just, do not contact me, put the do not disturb sign on my door, have all the little meal preps in the corner, and we just go hard, and that's okay. It's okay to have that.
I've eaten a lot of Kraft mac and cheese. Actually, sorry, I'm a Velveeta shells and cheese kind of person. I don't know why I said Kraft. Not sponsored. Velveeta sponsor us, though. We would love a Velveeta sponsor. Eaten a lot of that in the last 4 days. Not been great for me.
I assume that's not in the recipe book of Link.
I mean, he can make dubious food, and I would say it is dubious. Again, Velveeta, please sponsor us.
Well, we are here to talk about the aftermath of March of the Machine. Aftermath, it is a 50-card set that people don't like. We are here to talk some listener emails. We are here to talk some Breaking Bulk, some Pick of the Week. We're here to talk about some of our favorite people that give us money so that you can give us money so that we can give you content. And it's just me and Cass, in case you've noticed. Jason and Corbin are out doing hashtag MtG Dad stuff. Whatever that entails.
Couldn't be me.
Couldn't be me. They're probably at some sort of soccer practice or something, or Jason's probably chokeholding a referee. I got nothing.
Jason's at the PTA mom tea party. Definitely, he's running the shit for sure.
Oh yeah, he's got all the hot goss on all the other husbandos.
Did you see what Karen was doing the other day? I love that about her. She'll just wear anything.
That bitch got up to chapter 5 already. We said we were only going up to chapter 2.
Alice is such an overachiever. Tracy, get your daughter in check right now.
I don't have more to add to this bit, so we are just going to go right into a Breaking Bulk.
Breaking Bulk time. Breaking Bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking Bulk. The end.
So we are just going to go right into a Breaking Bulk that Corbin would have yelled at me for, Jason would have yelled at me for. This is a it's not Brothers War. This is a March of the Machines rare. So it's a rare, somebody buy listed all their March of the Machine stuff to me. They opened their boxes. They were looking for their serialized cards. They got what they wanted. And they said, DJ, these are all the bulk rares. And I said, okay. And then this was a $2 rare that was among them. Because if it's not like Fable the Mirror Breaker, it's a bulk rare nowadays, right? It's green. It's a green rare from March of the Machine.
It's not the Invasion of Ixalan, right?
No. It's
the
not a battle.
Altasaur?
What?
Is it the dinosaur with Convoke?
It is the dinosaur with Convoke.
Yeah, that card's
That
great.
is... I don't know if there's more than one dinosaur with Convoke in this set, but I mean, it's the one you're thinking of probably. It is a 7-mana 6/6 with Convoke, Trample, and Ward 2, Ancient Imperiosaur. When it enters the battlefield with 2/+1 counters on it for each creature that convoked it. So it's big. It's a big boy.
It's a 0-mana 20/20.
Is that how the math? Yeah, 7 times carry the 1. Yeah, 0-mana 20/20.
Yep.
Yeah,
I know.
And then, yeah.
I know early on, Aspiring Spike and I think Caleb Doerr were brewing with it. Like, they were really high on the Convoke stuff. So I don't know if it ever panned out in Modern or Pioneer even, but people were really high on it.
Ward is, I think, a more powerful mechanic than people sometimes admit. It is baby hexproof, but that just goes to show you how powerful hexproof was and is. And I think this card just goes to show you how desensitized people can be to cards that are not format staples.
Yeah.
Like, rares are the new uncommons. We went over that a while ago, and it's just like, okay, I pulled all the cards I wanted from the set. I pulled all the things that I know are at the top 5 listicles. Everything else, it's bulk.
Yeah. And some of that's just perception. Like, there are rares worth stuff now. Like, people just don't realize it.
And there's too many to keep track of, which we've beaten that horse to death in this podcast, but it goes to the benefit of people that are willing to put in the time, and just, even if you spend 5 minutes scanning a pile with a TCG Player app, you find some cards that you can easily export to a spreadsheet file, and then you make a Card Kingdom buy list, and then you get $30 store credit instead of selling them to your LGS for basically bulk.
Right.
And it's just grinding those margins that let you turn into dual lands, that let you build into something greater, that let you just sort of help Magic pay for itself.
Yeah, I actually just sent off a buy list order recently of stuff like that, like cards in the $1 to $3 Card Kingdom buy list range for store credit, and I turned it into like a full legacy deck worth of duels. Like that, we talk about it in the abstract, but like it's really doable.
And that's how you turn 0 into 1 kind of in this entire industry. There's a lot of advice out there of like, should you buy the One Ring at $100,000? Will it be $150,000? Will you have vendor friends who will flip it to you for $3? What should you do with your 600 copies of Fable the Mirror Breaker? But like, I don't know. I just grinded nickels for a while and then turned it into dual lands, and now I own a TCG store.
Yeah, I mean, people love to talk about the glam and the glitz, and like, you and I have had conversations before about how much ego is involved in this industry, how people just want to feel smart, and like they don't care about making the best decisions necessarily. But grinding the small stuff is kind of how you get there, and obviously, you know, value your time appropriately. Don't work for $2 an hour working for yourself, but also don't leave money on the table, right? That's the balance. Yeah,
and I mean, work for $2 an hour if you were going to spend that hour watching Netflix anyway. Not $2, but you know what I mean. Like,
you and I will never agree on that. I can't split tasks like that. I can't watch Netflix and sort cards. I can only sort cards, because if I'm sorting cards, I just want to go turbo fast. I just want to like zone in and do only that. If I'm watching Netflix,
I have a neurodivergent level of segmentation I can do with how much attention I can put to it. So I have music work, which is just work I need to focus on, and then I just put on a hardstyle playlist and I just focus on the work. And then I have Netflixable don't care about show. Like, this is a show that I can just listen to and I don't care about it. I have that level of focus kind of work, which is different kinds of sorting. And then I have just fullest brain dead activity like conditioning, where I can fully focus on a show and look at a card and just fully absorb the show while still conditioning a card. See, I just segment it, and I'm like, is this a brain dead day? What bucket am I filling here? And then I just go with that. It's unsettling.
I can't listen to music with lyrics while I'm working, or it distracts me. I just have to like you can't have lyrics, but they have to be complete nonsense. Nightcore is my go-to.
When your song has a TED Talk in the middle of it, that's my jam.
Oh yeah, no, like I have to put on like Nightcore or something where it's just like loud squeaky sounds instead of lyrics. Because otherwise I just get pulled away from it. Like, my actual playlists I listen to are like, you know, super melodic lyrical stuff, and I can't price cards because, you know, John Y'all's gonna say something like, he's gonna say the number 45 in the song, and I'm just gonna like price it uncommon at $45. It's over for me.
Subconsciously, the firearms industry is subconsciously affecting Magic prices. You don't hear about that too much.
That's true. They're really there's subliminal messaging. It's like, also Magic cards are a psyop from Big Gun. You heard it here first, folks.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Brainstorm Brewery. This is a hard cut in where we return to Breaking Bulk after some number of minutes of after hours.
It got kind of weird there.
It got a little weird. We talked about some certain events in history.
We talked about the Unip. We can just say that. We can put that in the normal podcast, right?
If you would like more Brainstorm Brewery Unip information, go to patreon.com/BSB. Give us $20 an episode, or no, it's actually $20 a month, but you can just give us. You can also just give us $20 an episode. You can.
You can just Venmo me.
Patreon will let you do that. Yeah, I mean, Patreon will just let you pick the mythic tier, which gets you access to the after hours. It gets you access to the spreadsheets. It guarantees us to read your emails. It gets you access to the Discord. But you can just fat figure a 0 on that manual entry for the subscribe.
You can just wire us your net worth. Like, that is allowed. There is nothing stopping you from doing that.
What's up, everybody? So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, put that routing and count info in the comments below. We're going to pick a random one.
What is your ATM pin? Just go ahead and throw that in the comments there. Pick our favorite one and we'll use it. Did I do my Breaking Bulk yet?
No, you now is a great time.
Awesome. My Breaking Bulk this week is a Commander 2021 rare.
Oof, Strixhaven, okay.
Mm-hmm. Red rare, sorry.
Is this the one with Demonstrate? It's like the red Cascade card with Demonstrate?
Nope.
Damn it.
Go ahead.
I got nothing. I'm tapped out. That was my one guess. I had one shot in that gun.
Did he have a gun? I thought he was a...
I'm sure he owned guns, Cass. This is America.
I don't know anything about him.
Me neither. He's a mystery. That's what makes him exciting.
Yeah, we should go listen to one of those true crime podcasts about him, where they talk about how cool he is for an hour and a half. My Breaking Bulk is Riona Fire Dancer. Card sat around $1 for a while, and it's kind of up to like $2, $3, $4 in some places. Basically, at the start of combat on your turn, you make a copy of X creatures you control, where X is the number of instant sorceries you cast, I think.
Yep, I'm reading it now.
I think she sees play in some CEDH Winota lists, maybe. But also, just like, the card's pretty powerful, and nobody really cared about Strixhaven Commander, so anything from there that kind of starts picking up and seeing play, like, it doesn't take much. It takes a stiff breeze to really spike a price on these, so check your Strixhaven Bulk.
Premium on the extended art version of this is $10.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, break your bulk. Find your Riona Fire Dancers and make $10.
I just want to say, this is the kind of card where my opponent will cast it and then expect me to do math homework, and I refuse. I'll just concede.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, okay, so I've cast 7 instants or sorceries, and the train's going at 30 miles an hour. How many apples does Timmy have? And I'm just like cooping up my cards. It's like, hey, you won. Like,
well, did I tell you the story from Minneapolis about the GRV match?
No.
I played a game of Commander with 2 of my friends, and like somebody walked up and joined us. And one of the guys was playing Calmax
yes,
with Arcane Bombardment. Yeah, we just GRV them out of the game. If they don't remember all of their triggers, DQ them. They get 3 shots.
Yep.
This is the kind of card that does that, where it's like, okay, I'm going to make 6 copies of my Spirited Companion, draw 6 cards. When I draw my second card for the turn, I'm going to trigger my Improbable Alliance. When the Fairy token comes into play, I'll trigger my Seismic Tremors. But I missed 6 triggers, and that can I stack those? No. DQ'd. You're out. Gift. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
That's a great shadow game in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where somebody just like loses the game to a judge call and just gets murdered or shot in the head.
Yeah. I mean, shot in the head only for the manga. Shot in the head, but yeah. You go to the spirit realm.
If you watch the subbed version of 5Ds, they do have guns. And I will fully endorse that anime while wearing a Kaiba Corp shirt.
This episode is just Magic the Gun.
Magic the
colon
gun.
the gun.
We're looking out for a different YouTube algorithm. Cass is like, oh, are we doing like a 2-person? Is it just us two, or are we doing this? And I was like, it's just me and you. I think we can handle it. What JJ does with this recording is between him and God.
Yeah, like, we're gonna record for like 2 hours tonight, and like, there's gonna be 30 minutes of after hours, 50 minutes of podcast, and some time where we're just like telling JJ what to cut.
So, speaking of things that people hate, that's a cut. You can just do that wherever.
Anywhere in here.
Speaking of things that people hate, March of the Machine Aftermath is a set that was released somewhat recently, and people don't like it.
What's there to like?
It is a product that has 50 cards. Each of those cards has 8 versions, carry the one. There's one good reprint in it, and a lot of legendary creatures, and none of them are worth anything except the Halo foils.
I think there are 400 SKUs in this 50 card set.
Something like that.
Which, like, that's a problem in and of itself. I mean, Baldur's Gate had like 4,000 or something, so like, we're not setting new precedent with that. We're just complaining about it again.
Yes, we've already jumped that Shark Typhoon.
Yeah. But
yeah.
The other problem I have was like with cataloging. If you search for March of the Machine, there's like between 3 and 5 sets that are relevant for this. Right, like there's March of the Machine variants, March of the Machine Commander, and then Aftermath and Aftermath variants. There's 5 sets.
Yeah, so Cass and I were trying to look up the price of a booster pack for this set while doing research for the show, and I went to my TCG Player Seller backend, and I typed in March of the Machine, enter, and I filtered for Magic, and there are 37 different items that match my search. 4 of those are the mirrored and rare March of the Machines, so that one doesn't count, but there's a lot of them, and I mean, we are somewhat used to that by this point. We're used to every set having 7 commander deck, all this stuff, but like a lot of those sets were good. Like Kamigawa and Neon Dynasty, you look through rose-colored glasses, and because the set was just a banger. But I am very curious why this is a different product. Why is this not just 50 cards in March of the Machine?
I mean, like, I get they wanted to, like, separate the story reveal, but all they did was have people mad about how mediocre the March of the Machine story was, and then, like, how, like, this is the consequences of the March of the Machine story, I guess?
But they're like, okay, let's not do blocks. Let's do one set and 1/10 of a set as a not block. Like, that was the point of blocks, right? Is that you get the resolution of the story in a whole set.
Yeah, and, like, maybe this is like their big story moment, so maybe that's why they wanted to space it out, but this is not the way to do it. Like, a 50 card set feels super weird to me. WotC is known for experimenting, like, they're willing to try things out, and it's possible that this set's gonna go so poorly we'll never see one like it again, God willing. But I really think this was them trying to be like, what's gonna happen to the Planeswalkers at the end of March of the Machine? You won't know for at least 2 months. And then, of course, the set got leaked, which is, like, not great for their big story reveal, but also their big reveal is that, like, some of the Planeswalkers don't have sparks now.
Yeah.
Woo! Oh, no, I guess Nissa won't be in every 3rd set. Whatever will I do? She probably still will be, just as a creature.
That, and because she can take the monorail between planes now. It's not that, like, you need some sort of special power where the planes are all connected, like we talked about before, so...
The multiverse has public transit now. They have robust public transit. Robert Moses is turning over in his grave.
So what does this mean for the actual value of the cards in the set long term? Because there's a lot of rares, there's a lot of uncommons. The set doesn't have commons. There are no cards in this for Pauper. Sorry, Pauper players. But you do get to open a pack. And even though it has 50 cards, they're all different because the set has 80 variants. So you can get 3 different variants of the same card that all look very different. But, I mean, there are some good uncommons here. We have Filter Out, which is a blue instant that's just 3 mana, return all non-creature, non-lands in their owner's hands. That just is a 3 mana instant speed board wipe for artifacts and enchantments and planeswalkers.
Yeah.
Uncommon in a set that won't be opened at all. So is this a set where we tell people to watch out for breaking bulks? Is this a set where we tell people to talk about like our two breaking bulks were just rares that people weren't paying attention to? Is this one of those where we see plenty of $3 or $4 cards pop up over the next couple years?
I think that's really dependent on how limited print the set is. I don't think it was super limited. Because think about the kind of person who makes the Magic ecosystem work. It's people who open lots of packs, right? Like tons and tons of packs. Serialized cards incentivize that. Masterpieces incentivize that. Standard kind of always incentivize that, making stores open singles for constructed players. But, like, why would you open 10 grand worth of product of this set? You'll have the full set in, like, I don't know, the first 2K, right? So there's no incentive for stores or big-time collectors to open tons of product. So maybe not a lot of it gets opened. But if the supply is, like, infinite, if cards start going up, people will then be incentivized to open it, right? So, like, the supply has to be limited, I think, for this to actually be a good set for that.
Yeah, there is always an equilibrium of even a terrible set reaches good EV. Nobody opens it, the cards go up in price, then people open it, and then the cards go down in price. There is that little balance beam that everybody will always walk for any set.
Right.
But it just depends on how this gets distributed among the cards in the set. I mean, Dragon's Maze 10 years ago was infamous for being, okay, it's a Voice of Resurgence lottery. This is a $70 mythic. If you don't get one, you get a bulk rare. Yeah. And the card wasn't broken. It was powerful, but it wasn't in every single standard deck. It was just there weren't any. Right. And we could theoretically see that.
That set weirdly had an incentive to be opened, too, because they had shocklands sometimes.
It did. They were very rare, but it did.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's like one of those things where it had an incentive, and so it was opened enough to keep enough voice resurgences around that it didn't become a $100 card, but, like, the set on average was bad enough that there wasn't full incentive, right?
Right. And I mean, we learned that New Capenna was rebuilt.
Yeah.
Yay.
Ob Nixilis is there fighting for his life.
Ob Nixilis is like the coolest designed card in this set.
Yeah. That card might actually be very good in Pioneer, from what I hear.
It's the most unique commander in this set by far. Having an increment of life loss be a theme is a very new design space. You can open that wide up of, oh, this is a card that cares about when your opponent loses 3 life. Not 4, not 2, 3. Ob Nixilis is sort of starting this trend, and it's a commander card that people want to brew with, and it's a competitive card that people want to brew with.
It's really good with Cat Oven.
Yes.
Right, like that's the whole joke with it, and I think that's like, I'm sure it also wins the game with All Will Be One or something. I'm not sure. Every card wins the game with one of those cards. But like, it's a cool design card, but can you name, like, one other card in the set that really speaks to you?
I'm scrolling.
Like, I kind of... where was it? It was the... I kind of like, the Taziri, I guess, is what his name is. The 5-color legend, the not 5-color legend. That card's kind of cool, but there's also like the weird gamble effect at Uncommon. That card might be good.
Deification is neat.
It does combo with Gideon of the Trials. That's a nice one.
It's nice for that sort of casual player archetype that wants to protect all their Chandra tribal or Gideon. They like to. Right. It's like, oh, cool! I get to play this with all of my Elspeths, and it's. That is a kind of casual card where I could see it. Oh, the direct premium on this is 8.
Right. But I actually need one of these for Jiro. Maybe I can get a kind, fortunate soul to trade me one. I actually think Reckless Handling might be one of the uncommons that's worth something if that trajectory happens.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, this could be the deadly dispute of the set, where it's nobody opened it, and this is your $6 common uncommon card.
Right.
That could be that sort of a thing in the set.
But like we've listed 3, maybe 4 cards plus Training Grounds is cool, so 10% of the set at best is like actual cards that are cool.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Not
in a
great.
normal set, in a normal 300 card standard set, that's fine. Right? If there's like 30 real bangers, the rest is like kind of limited stuff. That's probably fine. I have to like look at a set and kind of measure out the metrics, but the disparity between the hits in this set and the not hits, it feels like the gap is wider than most sets.
And it feels worse. Even if
Right.
it's mathematically correct, it will feel worse.
Right. It's also like I think releasing this is like a booster pack set is what gets me and why it feels so bad. Because like when a booster pack set comes out, going and like buying a box of this set, how many duplicates are you going to get out of a box? Opening packs of this just has to feel terrible. Like if you buy a box, right, you get 24 packs, and how many duplicates are you going to get? Like, there are only 5 cards in a pack, but there are also only 50 cards in the set. Like a box, you probably get 2 of each rare or something, right? That doesn't feel good.
No.
Like, one of the things that I think WotC's done really well with their booster fun stuff is the process of discovery. Like, the list, I think, is great for that because you get to open, like, if you're opening 20 boxes for your store, you still sometimes find a card you haven't seen in 10 boxes, right, in the list?
Yes.
But, like, you never have that here.
Yeah. I mean, I have my own complaints with the list, mostly just the name of it. Just, why did you... I've gone down that road, but...
This is an episode for rehashing old complaints. This is our annual airing of grievances. Jason could not be here for this one because he would have died on the spot if he had to. He would have had a heart attack getting so angry.
Yeah, so I mean, we've aired our grievances with March of the Machine Aftermath. Let us know what your thoughts are. Let us know if we're wrong. Tell us in the comments right after you left-click that like button. I know a lot of you have been right-clicking it and it's not been working, but if you left-click it, it actually works so much better for us and for you. So I mean, just or use your finger if you're on a mobile device. That's fine too.
It's your left, not our left, by the way.
Left finger. Left finger.
Finger.
But yeah, just let us know what that is, and then use those fingers to type us some emails, because we do read our emails once in a while. We break out the mailbag, and we've got a mini mail basket, little mini satchel, mail satchel today. Mail dice bag, I guess. It is
Love a good mailbag.
a Patreon level question from Grant. And they want to know which cards to buy. So, the Brew Crew, I love the podcast, appreciate the antics. I graduated from university. You're calling it university. I graduated from university and I've had an adult job making adult money for over a year. I've been saving my money and want to spend more of it on some high-end cards. So far, the most expensive cards I've purchased are Cradle and Moat. Can you bloody believe it? I've been thinking of spending some more money to build my collection, and who knows, maybe, have it as a long investment in it. I think most Magic players tell themselves they'll eventually sell all the cards they own for money. I want to ask the best places to find deals on high-end cards, and what things I should keep in mind when making a purchase. So far, I've only ever purchased stuff like at events like Gen Con, Command Fest, Magic Con. The travel costs from England are bloody incredible. Overall, a discussion on this topic would be interesting. Parentheses, P.S. I would also love to know what cards someone should approach buying first, if they plan on keeping them as a more long-term investment and this bit's gone on a really long time, and playing with them. Right now, I don't know if I should buy a Tabernacle for Commander or a few different duels. Sent from via School Chromebook. Hello, Governor. Thanks for the feedback.
Before we tuck into the actual email, I do want to say the way your British accent, your fake British accent, it is like, I feel like it's like a hoity-toity voice that you got from playing Fire Emblem. Because I feel like Fire Emblem, all the characters are kind of vaguely British. Is that true? Am I correct in thinking that?
I don't think so.
Okay. All of like the anime games where someone has like a British accent, it's always very like, very hoity-toity. I don't know. I feel like you...
Very posh.
Yeah, you would never break out like a Cockney.
I didn't go Cockney, no.
You'd never get real countryside with it, which, like, I get it's not for me, but I get it. I can't do a British accent without it becoming Australian, so, like, that's the real countryside, you know?
Australians are the country of British is the most generous description they have gotten out of that in the past 300 years.
Australia's great. Everyone's
It
mean
is
to
great,
Australians.
but
They're great.
oh yeah, they're just our country folk. They're a little rough around the edges, but they didn't like murder anyone or anything. They just stole a few scarves, and we thought they'd be better off on their own. Terrio.
They put the wrong kind of jam on their scones. We had to send them off to Prison Island. They didn't fit in with common society.
So,
oh my!
If you did not understand what I just said, the American translation of this email is that they have some money to spend. They have been working an adult job for a while now, and they can afford their dual lands. They can afford the things that they couldn't as a kid, and they want to know what the purchase order is. So if you have some money spent floating around, or you have a lot of trading credit, let's say you're breaking your bulk, you've got all this big store credit with some store, and you're like, man, I could get this, I could get that, my commander decks need all these things that all cost 3 digits. Where do you start?
So there's like two schools of thought on this, right? There's the your enjoyment matters the most in this aspect, because if you're just trying to treat it as an investment vehicle, you should probably just invest in more secure things. Like if it's purely an investment vehicle, there's also a school of thought of it's a lot of money and I kind of want it to not get skewed off. I personally am more in the enjoyment is more important factor when I'm buying Magic cards, but I imagine you're much more in the second camp of if I'm buying high end, I want it to be because it's valuable and I want it to retain value.
I would say so, yeah.
What would you say are like your biggest arguments for, value has to come first, fun can come second because it's going to come anyways. What are your talking points on that?
I think there's a middle ground here with this person, because, like they said, they want cards that will go in their decks, and they're playing Commander. I think duels are just fine. I think you get your dual lands.
Yeah.
This person presumably doesn't have many, if any, duels. I think if you have a 4-digit number to spend, you just get one of each duel, and you're very happy with playing them, and then 10 years down the road, you're not unhappy selling them.
Right. Well, I mean, like, one of each HP duel is like, what, 4 or 5 grand? 4 grand?
Yeah, something like that.
And that's like a mox and a half, 2 moxes maybe?
You're not going
Right.
to play the moxes. Like, you have your
Right.
Cradle and you have your Moat. I think you just flesh out the rest of your Commander playsets.
Yeah,
You get, you get your one Transmute Artifact, you get your one Grim Monolith, you can start getting foils if you really want to get spicy, and I think those are still fine.
Yeah. Avoid non-English foils if your goal is to retain value, because I've been down that road and it is an expensive road.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Don't chase the Japanese foil Grim Monolith believing that it is worth a lot more.
Right. If I've learned anything in this industry, the cost of a Magic card is what you buy it for minus what you sell it for. And it's way harder to sell your German foils for what you bought them for.
Yes. So I think you just get your playsets and...
Yeah. Playsets. Whatever Commander playsets mean, right?
Yeah, the cadence of this email, British poshness aside, I think, is that they want cards to play with that will be good long term. And I think you just look up Commander legal, sort by price, and I think you just start in like the $200 to $300 range and go up, and you try to avoid things like Tabernacle. Like, Tabernacle's the last on the budget because it's so niche too.
Right. Like, I think buying niche cards is okay, but like a Tabernacle goes in one kind of deck, right? It goes in a deck that is trying to tax mana or be miserable to play against, and like that's fun to have. But like $2,500 or even $3,000 for an English copy goes way further as 4 to 6 dual lands, or even if you want to buy niche cards, buy a cool niche card like Eureka. Eureka's sweet, and it's expensive, but it's also a 4 horseman card that's going to hold value. I actually recently bought myself an Old Man of the Sea because I kind of wanted to play with it in Cube. I'm like, yeah, it's expensive, but it's one of those cards that I can probably get out of it what I put into it, if not at a very small loss, right?
Yeah, get your intuitions.
Mm-hmm.
Get your and just save your more niche cards for Candelabra is also last on the purchase order.
Yeah. Well, it's also interesting to think about because whenever someone's trying to buy power, I suggest the exact opposite. Because with power, usually you're buying it to build vintage, right? Like that's kind of what you do with power or cube. And so you sort of need a full set, right? And I always
Sure.
say, if you're buying power, get the Lotus first. Because if you don't get the Lotus first, you're never going to get it. You're going to be 5 mocks and a twister or walk and a recall in. You're going to have no money and no trade left. And you're just like, well, I guess I'm saving up for 2 years to buy this Lotus with my extra income, right? Like,
And then 2 years later, it's more.
Right. So just buy the Lotus first if you're buying power. Ignore everything else. Don't buy dual. Just buy the Lotus. If you care about power, just get the Lotus. Get it done with. It's never
Get the
going
crown
down.
jewel. Yeah.
Yep. And what's nice too is once you've bought the Lotus, every other piece of power you buy just feels so much cheaper. Like one of my friends recently was building a set of power, and he's like, "Yeah, I paid 12 grand for my Lotus, and it felt brutal, but like, I just got this Sapphire for 4K, and I feel great." And I'm like, "Yep, 4K is a lot less than 10.
Yeah.
That's how math works."
So now that you've graduated from university and you have your adult job and you're making £70, yeah, I think that you just... Well, you also mentioned that you've gone to Gen Con and Command Fest and Magic Fest, and that's where you've purchased the cards. Where do you want to purchase these from? If you're buying online, if you don't have access to that in-person event,
Right.
Where do you buy to feel safe?
For me, I buy from people I know, which can be tough for people who aren't in the industry, but like, not to plug anybody on this podcast, but like, you are a great place to go. When I buy cards from you, I know they're authentic.
Sure.
I don't know how many people I'm supposed to plug that are not sponsors of the podcast, but like TOA Magic, I trust them implicitly to make sure my cards are not fake, because sometimes I'm the one checking to make sure they're not fake, and I'm really good at that. If I'm good at anything in Magic, it's that.
Yeah, I mean, you can buy cards from Coalesce, you can buy cards from MTG Stock. Oh, wait, you can't buy cards from Coalesce, but what you can buy from them is incredible shirts and apparel and hats and stickers that will keep you warm during these cold summer months down in Australia. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to put all those stickers all over your body, and you're just going to run around in them. Just work up a nice sweat, and then you're just going to scream into the hills about Brainstorm Brewery, and you're going to advertise for us. And then we may or may not, if we find out that our Patreon money is going towards your bail, that's probably fine, right? Like some Australian bail money.
I would never pay a patron's bail, because if they got into a mess that we incited, like, that's not on me. That's on you. I'm just making jokes.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
All of this is allegedly. But Coalesce Apparel and Design, use our gift code Brainstorm Brewery. Get that 10% off your total order. Order from them at your local Magic Con, at the events that you'll be at your Command Fest, and just all those. And you know what else you can do while you're trying to not let the officer take your phone away? You can quickly open up mtgstocks.com/news/6143-reinventions. That is the URL for an article on MTG Stocks that was written by Jason Alt, and it's free. You can read that article for free. You don't even have to have premium, but if you do get the MTG Stocks premium, then you can make better decisions with the information that Mr. ALT gives you in that article. He talks about historic boon, historian's boon. That's a card. I'm scrolling. There's so many words in this article. It's just there's so much free content. I'm just quickly scrolling through it to find words for you to consume that aren't my voice. But yeah, Jason Alt wrote an article on MTG Stocks, and you should go read it and consume his content.
I personally love MTG Stocks. I love them because when I need to find my Breaking Bulk or Pick of the Week, I can go to their interest page, and I can scroll, and I can see some information, and I can use that to reverse engineer what a Pick of the Week would be. It's super helpful, and the data is great and very accessible. This isn't like an ad read that I'm doing. I'm just like kind of talking about how much I love access to data in the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get the Card Kingdom interests, which is the changes in Card Kingdom's price, which is often way more relevant than TCG Player. And you can get that from MTG Stocks Premium, which is down to $11 a month if you pay annually. It used to be $20 a month.
Basically free if you're doing any amount of work in the industry. If you're doing like 2 flips a month to buy lists, like, it's basically free to have.
I have learned so much about just how much paying for subscriptions is worth it.
Yeah.
Because of just how easy it is to generate revenue off of them.
Sometimes you just got to pay for access to the thing so that you can do the thing. And when you do the thing, you make more money.
I paid for Discord Nitro for 1 month, specifically so I could send a higher resolution picture of a Thunder Spirit to somebody and sell it to them.
How much is Discord Nitro per month?
5, probably.
Yeah. You made way more than $5 in that transaction.
Yeah. Speaking of reverse engineering our picks of the week, we have weeks of the pick to give you.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
I will pick among the weakest of my options here. I don't know where I'm going with that, but
That was a better thing than I did.
yeah, you got to cull the week so that you can pick the cream of the crop. Culling the week and cream of the crop neither of them are my picks for this week. My pick of this week is Loran of the Third Path.
That card's so good.
Yeah, it's just Reclamation Sage that you can Karakas back to your hand in Legacy. If you're playing Death and Taxes, it's from Brothers War, which no one really opened.
That's
that
not
much.
true. A lot of people
the
open Brothers War.
They opened a lot of collector boosters, but they didn't open a lot of regular boosters, I feel
Sure.
like. Because that was the first set with serialized cards, collector boosters are open way more. And so, like, regular Lorans basically have had a 0 buy list spread the entire time it's existed. Like, the price goes up, like, by $1 every month. And every time the price goes up $1, like, the buy list increases commensurately. Nobody can keep it in stock. Card is one of a kind. It also has a really cool activated ability that kind of pairs with Fairy Masterminds. That might be something in Standard at some point, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons the buy list on this has been so good is because they just go to Europe, and the card sells so well over there. Like you said, it's more of a competitive card, Modern, Legacy, etc. I actually have one for the Garth Factory Seal deck. That's how I learned it was such a good card, is because I just started abusing the activated ability on it to when somebody else couldn't draw cards with Narset.
Ooh, I like that combo.
And I was just like, oh wait, this is crazy. Oh wait, you're gonna blow it up, and I can just reanimate it and do other things with loyal retainers and whatnot.
Oh wow, with loyal retainers, that card's nice.
Love Lauren, love me a Lauren.
Yeah.
Mine.
How about you, DJ?
My pick of the week is also a competitive card. Normally I pick weird, niche, esoteric nonsense. I'm just going standard. I'm just going run-of-the-mill. I really like all of the Modern Horizons 2 elementals right now.
Ooh. Okay.
I think that Modern Horizons 2 continues to slip further and further into the past. It has been almost 2 years since that set was created, and there have been a million products since then. And that set continues to just have so many playables. All of the PTQs for Barcelona I learned recently are all modern.
Yep.
And those elementals are going to keep drying up. I think you start with the cheapest one. I don't like buying $40 Solitude to go to $50, but I do like buying like $8 or $9 Subtlety to go to $20.
Sure.
If you
also
don't
might
have your
remember
Solitudes right now, I think you get them. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I definitely want to own at least my playset of all of these. I don't know if you remember, but it was about the 24-month mark after Modern Horizons 1 came out that it went out of print. And we're a month away from the 24-month mark for Modern Horizons 2.
Yep.
When this set goes out of print, LGSs can't buy it. Those prices are going to start creeping.
That's one of the things that made me think of it was the standard rotation change. Is because Wizards came out on a Q&A last week and people were asking, hey, I'm a store. I want to be able to get this standard set that's now going to be standard legal for another year. Will I be able to get it? I didn't know that it was going to be standard legal. And Wizards said, yes, we'll make sure that distribution you can get the standard legal set because we're doing these changes. I don't know if that's going to be a thing. It's not going to be a thing for Modern Horizons 2. It's not like they're keeping the window open for that set just because it's so good. It's just...
Right.
Once that set is unavailable, Ragavan's going to be like $100.
Ragavan got a reprint, so that's kind of a bad example, but I know what you're saying. Solitude will be a
true.
$60 card. Honestly, I think the one that's actually going to be the most expensive is Fury. That card is so far and away the best pitch elemental, it's crazy. That card is so good.
Punishing Fire is banned for a reason, as Fury is not banned for no reason.
Yeah, I for a long time in Modern played Green-Black Yawgmoth, and I felt like my win percentage against non-Fury decks was, incredibly high, and I felt like I could never beat a Fury deck to save my life. You just can't play the card... They printed Ignoble Hierarch in the same set, and the card's just unplayable, outside of, exactly Yawgmoth, because that deck is doing something so intrinsically powerful, but, Red Black Scam is a deck because the pitch elementals are so busted, right?
Yep. And none of them have had reprints yet.
Yeah, and they're also like they're at a really high power level, so it's kind of hard to reprint them outside of like maybe get a judge foil of one of them, but that feels weird because judge foils are mostly commander cards now.
It does feel very weird to reprint them in any sort of aspect that's not just all 5 at once.
Right.
It could be like, oh, Secret Lair, Solitude. I guess.
Weirdly, if we ever go back to Lorwyn, maybe like in a commander product, one of them goes in there, but they're too expensive for that, I think.
Yeah. Because they do technically have Evoke.
Right.
That is a keyword that is on those cards that is
They're
not being
plane-locked.
used the way it should be.
Yeah, they're fully plane locked, right? Like maybe a secret layer with one of them, but even then, like that feels weird to put one in.
I don't know. I'm a big fan of Subtlety. That is the one I think is the biggest in, or Grief, because those are the 2 cheapest ones.
Yeah.
But if you don't have playsets of these, just get them.
I also think Subtlety has been consistently underrated in its time in Modern. And I think Grief is the kind of card that could very easily become problematic if a combo deck that wants that effect comes up. Like Living End has already proven that the card's very good.
When combo was good, Thoughtseize was $70, is that right?
Yeah, I think like Malirapod and Splinter Twin were decks in the format when Thoughtseize was $70, so...
Yeah.
Alright, DJ. So there's something I've been thinking about ever since WotC did their Q&A about Standard last week. They announced that Standard's going to go from 2 years to 3 years, which we touched on a little bit last cast, but I kind of wanted to flesh it out this time. What are your thoughts on that, on ban list philosophy, on reprints in Standard, on sealed product?
So, I think Standard is better with more bans. Always. I think that is one of the things Yu-Gi-Oh! Does right, is they're willing to just design cards that say oops, and then shut the door on it, and then turn the person's head to the next shiny thing. And that is better for the health of the game overall if they are not worried about needing to preserve the value of somebody's $30 Hazaret or whatever.
Yeah, I actually really strongly agree with that. I think also them making it 3 years lets them have a format they can curate over time. It sucks when a card gets printed and they have to ban it like a month afterwards because it's only in Standard for 2 years. Like, the longer you let it go, the more of a problem it is. But like, Fable the Mirror Breakers had, what, a year and a half now, right?
Over 2, I think.
Really? Oh, yeah, you're right.
Neo was 2021.
But if they ban Fable the Mirror Breaker right now, you got 2 years out of your card. It's not a big deal. They can kind of breathe new life in the format. And like, yes, it does still suck when your cards get banned, but it's less bad when you've gotten to play them for 2 years, right?
Yes, and the I just bought these and they hammered them is kind of an unavoidable problem. That's not one you can fix.
Right.
That is always going to happen. It's just, it sucks. It's a feel bad. It's a Band-Aid that you have to rip.
Right. And it kind of makes sense. Like, if I'm buying a card because it's clearly busted, like, I gotta kind of know in the back of my head there's some danger, right?
Yeah, all cards come with that warning sign in the back.
Right. And when you have a longer period of cards being in Standard, you get more time to see if the problems will fix themselves. Like, if they printed a broken card in the next set, right? And they give it 6 months to figure out if it's truly, truly broken or if something they printed is going to fix it. Like, that's a quarter of the card's life cycle, you know? You don't get to wait. You don't get to mess around that long. Like, you've ruined that Standard for a quarter of its life cycle. When it's a bit longer, the sting is a little bit worse. So you get to give cards more time to breathe, more time to self-correct. So I think that weirdly we'll have less bans in some ways and more bans in others. Does that make sense?
It does, and with Fable specifically, Fable is if I had to pick one card that was going to get banned in Standard and force it to be in the format, I think Fable is a good one to do that with.
Yeah.
It has very dynamic play patterns. The card is just interesting. It makes a lot of decision points happen. Both players still have agency, even if the card is too good. I realize that it does overwhelm the game on itself. It's a problem, etc. Right. But like, out of all the cards that do that, you want it to be Fable, not Skullclamp.
Right.
You want it to not be Saheeli Cat combo. You want it to be the value engine that just happened to make Jund too good.
Right. And WotC's talked a little bit about how they want to have control and combo in Standard as well as mid-range and aggro.
That's a hofty goal.
I mean, I think it's way more possible if you're willing to A, ban cards, and B, make the format bigger. Control deck's naturally bigger when there's a bigger card pool, right? You get more answers. Obviously, the threats you're answering are more diverse, but there's only so many avenues someone can attack you in a standard format. Combo, more sets means more opportunities for cards to interact, higher synergy. We might not get like true combo like Splinter Twin, but we'll probably see some stuff like Time Sieve or the, what was the Construct Colossus from Kaladesh? There was like an Aetherflux Reservoir deck with that. We'll probably see more stuff like that. As well as aggro. Aggro gets to be the king of the format for like 2 or 3 weeks after release, and if there's 3 years, your aggro deck gets to be the king 6 times, right? Or even
sure,
even more,
you
like
get to be the
times.
new kid on the block more often.
Right. And mid-range, like, the reason the card Fable the Mirror Breaker is a problem is because it forces the format to be full of 2-mana interaction. Because if you don't interact with it when you're on the draw, you lose the game, oftentimes, right? And it's like, you would see red-black decks splashing just for negate, because on the draw it lets you beat a Fable on 3. But if you're willing to ban a card like Fable, and you're willing to give the other kinds of decks more avenues to attack, less 2-mana interaction means the combo decks will be better, aggro decks will be better, and control decks will be better by virtue of not having to slog through mid-range matchups all day.
So, how do you reconcile that with 3 years of standard dual lands? If you have Triomes, Pain lands, Check lands, Tap lands, Buddy lands, etc. lands, the format does eventually devolve to just pile. Omnath
I think it
pile.
means they can just print lands less often that way.
That's an interesting... I mean, I'm not opposed to that, but that is a very, very stark shift from what their design philosophy has been for the past 25 years, is land, sell packs, land, sell packs. Why is Scalding Charge land, sell packs?
But do Pain lands really sell packs? Do Innistrad style check lands really sell packs? Like, did any of the Snarls sell packs of Strixhaven? No.
That's fair.
Mystical
fair.
Mystical Archives sold packs.
Fair enough.
Serialized cards sell packs.
Okay.
WotC has realized that the divide between players and the divide between them and collectors is so big that the people who actually make you money are collectors. You just also need to sell to players, because like part of Magic is that it's a game. And like, Pain lands are in standard right now, which means they're here for like 3 years, 2.5, 3 years, right? Because Dominaria United was last October.
I'm just picturing somebody in Wizards having an aneurysm and just forgetting that they're making a game.
So we're just gonna make this new 1/1 LeBron card. It's gonna be plated in platinum. You can't play it, but it's like it's got LeBron on it, so it'll sell really well. Like, that's what sports cards people do.
Yeah,
right?
this is just like a sitcom episode where like Seinfeld forgets he's making a game or something like that, or like he gets on super far, like he comes into the apartment with a big sheet of cards, and it's like,
Yeah.
Jerry, there's no mana cost. Jerry, this is an anime girl on the picture. Like, this is not a Magic card.
The show would be called Garfield. It would be about Richard Garfield. Or you actually, the show's called Rosewater.
Yeah!
And Mark Rosewater like pops his head and he's like, "Hey Aaron, what's the deal with mana costs?"
Roseanne gets a cameo every episode.
You just have like the play design crew is like the cafe workers or whatever. Truly, obviously Mark Rosewater is the Jerry Seinfeld. The George Costanza is definitely Aaron Forsyth. But who's the Elaine and who's the Kramer? At WotC R&D. Gavin's definitely the Kramer. Like, not because
Gavin's,
he's like weird
yeah.
and crazy, but he's like really creative and out there.
Yeah.
As for the Elaine, I don't know. Who's the sassy one who kind of like is better than the rest but still hangs out with him because deep down she's like a little scummy? Listeners, tell us who you think Elaine would be on the hit sitcom series Rosewater. Let us know. And if you could just like put a Seinfeld, like the bass line, like the
Yeah, I was gonna say this episode has to end with the Seinfeld outro, right?
And if it's not in there, JJ, I won't do anything, but DJ might dock your pay. I'm just saying, in Minecraft.
In Minecraft.
In a video game.
Mm-hmm.